In this bulletin, COVID-19 numbers continue to rise. Our biggest hospital faces threat. And 500,000 for crop cultivation. Good afternoon. Ministry of Health recorded 35 COVID-19 cases yesterday, of which 2 were detected at the Colonial War Memorial Hospital in Suva. Permanent Secretary Dr. James Fong says the first case is a patient from Lambasa who was admitted at CWM in the past 6 weeks. Dr. Fong says the patient was swabbed as part of the exit protocol before her planned transfer to the Lambasa hospital. The second case at the CWM hospital is Ines.
She developed symptoms and was swabbed and isolated as part of the hospital's existing surveillance program. The nurse worked at a different part of the hospital to the positive patient, and at this early stage in the investigation, no connection has been made between her and the patient or any other known clusters.
Out of the 35 cases, 5 are from the Navosai Narere cluster, 1 from Waila, 3 from Nawakanandi, 2 are from CWM Hospital, 23 from the Navy cluster, and 1 from the Extra Supermarket cluster. The Ministry of Health is conducting evaluations to determine which areas of the CWM hospital in Suva need to be locked down. This after a patient and a nurse from the hospital tested positive for COVID-19. Dr. James Fong says they are working to set up procedures to keep critical services functioning safely.
Now, in response to all these recent cases, all the patients, their carers, and all the staff at CWM will now be swabbed and tested in order to gauge the extent of any spread within the hospital. This is an estimated 1,200 people who will be tested overnight.
That will cover some 700 plus staff and more than 500 patients who are currently admitted at the hospital.
Dr. Fong says the data from the overnight testing will determine how the existing contingency plans will be reviewed and what further measures will be implemented. The Nandi Hospital is now closed to the general public after a staff tested positive of COVID-19 yesterday. Ministry of Health Chief Medical Advisor Dr. Chemesa Tundravu says there are 40 staff and 37 patients, including 8 mothers, within the hospital. Dr. Tundravu says the ministry has organized a roster for 90 staff to look after those stuck within the hospital during their testing period. He says the Namaka Reproductive Health Clinic will now cater expecting mothers for their assessment as well as delivery. He adds 3 sites have been identified where people of Nandi can now access general outpatients and emergency services as the main hospital is out of reach.
The Sharada Medical Clinic in the middle of Nandi town, the Sharada Medical Clinic in Malolo in Nandi, and the Namaka Health Center in the Namaka area.
Certain essential businesses are disallowing children accompanied by shoppers from entering into these premises. Suva Retailers Association say that these are preventative measures taken to keep children out of the virus's way. These shoppers claim that there is no one to look after their children at home. However, the Permanent Secretary for Health, Dr. James Fong, is advising shoppers to avoid taking children outside of their home bubble as they possibly can.
But in general, the less the number of people in the family that goes out to do shopping, the less likely that they will bring the virus back home.
Over 2,000 Fijians will be issued passes to travel from Vanua Levu and Maritime Islands into Viti Levu. Ministry of Commerce and Trade Permanent Secretary Shaheen Ali says they received over 6,000 calls on 163 since yesterday. The ministry, together with relevant agencies, will monitor the movement to ensure compliance of the COVID-19 measures and protocols. Ali says the movement from Vanua Levu and other maritime islands to Viti Levu must be for permanent relocation or for medical reasons and not for short visits. The movement protocols from Viti Levu to Vanua Levu are currently being developed. The announcement will be done soon on how and when movement can be facilitated. The Accident Compensation Commission has paid $75,000 to the family of a 9-year-old who died in a motor vehicle accident in January. Merioni Vuni Yayawa died in the accident that occurred on January 9th along the Queens Road, Visese in Lautoka. Chief Executive Pervez Akbar says the accident occurred as a result of dangerous driving. Akbar says ACCF has paid over $19 million in compensation to victims of motor vehicle employment and school accidents since January 2018.
The team have been quite supportive of the application and have worked very hard to quickly finalize things for him. It's been a challenging time for him because he worked in the tourism industry in the West, and so he was without income already, and then this tragedy struck their family. So we were keen to get this finalized.
Funding of $500 Australian has been provided to the Agriculture Ministry for the second phase of the Cash for Cultivation initiative. The funding by the Australian Government and the Adventist Development and Relief Agency is targeted at 3,000 farmers nationwide. Minister for Agriculture Dr. Mahendra Reddy says the fund is intended to encourage farmers to cultivate fresh produce on an acre of their land. Dr. Reddy says an initial payment of $75 will be provided for every farmer who meets the requirement, and after they prepare their land, then a final payment of $125 will be released.
So we're targeting in the second phase, which we are rolling out today, a farmer number of 3,000. We're looking at 825 in the Central Division, 280 in the Eastern Division, 925 in the Western Division, and 970 in the Northern Division.
Up ahead, Nayaravoro praise Fijian Drua, and lifters prepare for competition. Welcome back. Former Waratahs winger Tangele Nayaravoro has shown his support for the Fijian Drua campaign.
I'm really happy. It's quite a long journey for the Fiji team to join the Super Rugby franchise. So now for myself, and I'm really proud of that.
As all sports are currently at a halt, Weightlifting Fiji know there will be no progress if they do not come up with innovative ways to keep their athletes on their toes. The association is finding it difficult to maneuver around keeping tabs on their lifters, but technology has been of great help. Weightlifting Fiji President Della Shaw Elder knows creativity can help move them forward.
We've actually tried to work around working with our athletes. We have this chat group where we have Talano sessions with them and see how they are doing with just being at home.
The Federation will have their first competition test this week, which began today, where they will assess lifters.
So the athletes, not only that they are training, but they are looking forward to this test that we will be running from tomorrow till Friday. Then we will submit the best result to send to the OWF League competition.
National coach Henry Elder says the lifters need any sort of competition now more than ever.
Competition is quite intense. Yeah, you see the athletes on the platform from other parts of the world. They're coming with a lot of intensity. They're coming with intent. They want to lift well. And so we encourage our athletes to perform the same way.
The Federation will finalize a team of 16 lifters by Friday. Like any other sport in the country, getting its players back on the court and playing is top priority for Netball Fiji. For this to take place, players must be fit and ready once restrictions are lifted. This is why Netball Fiji is strictly monitoring its players to ensure that they follow the program that has been set by head coach Jenny Brazil.
We are of Netball Fiji's plans to be able to compete when the opportunity arises, if lockdown ends and restrictions are lifted. So with this in mind, they've got to be on their toes. They've got to be looking for every opportunity that they can. And I guess all sports are doing this as well with their athletes.
A trough of low pressure with cloud and showers lies over the northern part of the group and is gradually moving eastwards away from the country. A cold southerly change is then expected to follow the trough and be dominant over the group. That's FBC News. Now join us for our 1-hour major bulletin at 7 p.m. And be sure to download the FBC app to access the latest in news, sports and live radio broadcasts from any of our 6 radio stations. Stay safe and good afternoon.